Hello, everybody, and welcome to another anniversary show of the Thom and Joe show. I'm Joe.
I'm Tom.
And there are literally dozens of great and wonderful albums that I could have reviewed for my anniversary stuff. Instead, I pick an anime, and I pick an anime that sounds like the most cliched Victorian romance thing you have ever heard. And maybe it is, but it's also great and I love it.
I also loved it. Yep, this is gonna be an interesting one because I am British, and this anime.
If you haven't noticed,
this anime is set in, and the manga it's based on are set in London. This was very strange. This was a slightly disconcerting experience to see things I recognised in an anime.
And we are talking today, of course, about, well, maybe not of course, but Emma, a Victorian Romance.
Yep. And
in the English ones, they have better logos, but in the show, they have Emma trapped inside the katakana for Emma. And it's kind of silly if you know the language at a, kindergarten, first grade level like I do.
Yeah.
So it's just
this is...
It's like Emma.
Yes, this is based on a manga by Kaoru Mori. We are doing season 1 today. We might come back and do season 2 because this is one of these 2 core seasons that actually, I can see us coming back to at some point because you really like this show, Joe.
Yeah, when I was on Infinite Rainy Day, it was in my top 20, 17, 16, somewhere about there. Mm-hmm. And that hasn't changed very much.
Nope.
It is... And I do have some personal attachment to it. This came out while I was working at Anime Insider magazine, and I was at a rut where I was trying to figure out what to write about and how to adjust what I'm doing to what I'm writing. Mm-hmm. And we had New Type magazine in the Japanese version. They did have an American version for a little bit, but New Type magazine, Japanese, so I'm just okay, I need to pore over this to figure out something to write about. And there is just this one-page ad with the key art to Emma, and it is just one of the most gorgeous things I have ever seen from an anime. And I'm like, okay, this is the thing. This is the next thing I'm doing. And then I watch it on fan subs. Now, keep in mind, I have Kickstart funded the DVD released, and then I went and kickstarted the Blu-ray with the genuine British dub.
Mm-hmm.
And
bear in mind, this was 2006, 7-ish?
2005.
Oh, wow, so you were watching this as this was coming out. Bloody hell.
Yes.
The good / bad old days, depending on your mileage, may vary on that.
Mm-hmm. So I watch it and it's just... And, everybody who handles this show handles it with the most care I have ever seen with a series. Mm-hmm. The first group who did it, the fan subgroup, they put trivia and they put accuracy notes in there in the fan subs with item.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm dealing with a headache right now, and so my speech isn't always getting synced up with my mind.
Yeah, some fan subs are fan sub groups are go beyond, above and beyond, and that's a very much an old style thing that they'd have. You get people who explain. You get a term. I don't know. Let's say something I don't know, obviously, there's an anime like this, they talk about, the Great Exhibition, and there'll be little, translators note at the bottom, this was an exhibition that ran in Crystal Palace in London between yeah.
And they will also put little notes, they use tea leaves to help sweep up the dust from the floor, because they would gather up all the dust and leave a nice scent. And that's what happens in the first episode when Emma's cleaning up the house. And it's just a lot of notes like that. And this show is especially detailed in that. Kaoru Mori will say it's the editor who did all of the research. And he just put that in there. He just, like, made it part of the show. But that's, you know, how these things work.
Yeah, this is how... the vibe of this is that this is unusual for anime. You know, Victorian London isn't that unusual. I mean, we did Princess Principal not that long ago, which was sort of obviously set in, you know, a Victoriana thing, and obviously you got series like, you know, Black Butler, etc., all set in it. But this is sort of like unusual because this is, you know, a grounded, realistic 19th century love story. It is like there is...
Yes.
Yeah.
There was one other Victorian thing that was coming out in anime at the time, and that was Steam Boy, which was...
yes.
Sadly, not the director of Akira's thunderous comeback, but a 10-year, like, mess of a thing where he did it it feels like he did it first before he had the story, and so he's just assembling the movie as it is over 10 years, and, you know, the result is a mess, and the female love interest abuses her dog, and that just describes, like, it tries to be, like, too accurate to this. It was advanced, but it was also, like, garbage and polluted, and they had children in factories because they were so small and they fit under where they could repair things and that kind of thing. And then it got, like, really up its ass with kind of the same thing Akira did. I mean, not that Akira was bad or anything, but, like, every person represents this certain thing, and so we have the scientist who thinks he's God, and there's just this scene in the middle of it where, like, the symbolism is terrible. Like, it is smacking you, punching you in the face. And
do you get it?
That's kind of what you get.
Yeah, and that's the sort of thing with the majority of Victoriana series. They are basically, the Japanese really like steampunk. You know, it'll be a speculative fiction series, and, like, to be entirely honest, like, I can think of a couple of, like, historical romance manga, but they're mostly stuff like, you know, and I've completely forgotten the series, but it's something Bride. It's like it's like set in Mongolia, and it's a very, again, really well researched series, but you know, this sort of stuff doesn't come along often. I'm now going to extremely laugh because A Bride's Story is also written by Kaoru Mori.
And it's Kaoru Mori keeps asking if A Bride's Story is going to be turned into an anime, and he says no. He prefers it on the page.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting Kaoru Mori. Kaoru Mori is... It's a she, but yeah, she basically is, like, famous.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize. Like, it's...
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Kaoru is a gender neutral name, but as I said, Kaoru Mori has done 3 series, and 2 of them are about Victorian maids, and the other one is another historical romance series, which is also excellent. But yeah, there's, like, she has her niche, and she's happy in her niche, and bloody hell, they need to do Bride's Story as an anime at some point, because I flipping love that manga. Anyway. So, yeah, Emma is an unusual thing, and I think that makes it beautiful.
Absolutely. And what also makes it beautiful is the director blew the entire budget for 2 cores in 13 episodes. Or 12 episodes, I should say. It is gorgeous. It is absolutely takes all of the extra care that you subconsciously notice in a show, but you don't really notice. Like, if you look in the eyes, there are at least 3 layers. Like, there will be, like, the eye color, and there'll be the shine off their eyes, and they have to track that. And there's also tears, or, you know, whatever's happening on the outside of the eyes. And those are 3 separate layers, and they are consistent and very much tracked. So it's that kind of care, and it's 2005, so we don't quite have super detailed stuff. We are getting into the HD revolution, but everything looks like gorgeous. There's extra depth, there's extra detail work, there's extra everything. It's still a TV show, so there are, you know, little shortcuts here and there, and there'll be little wide shots where everybody looks like a blob, and then they cut to the key animation. But it is a great looking show. It was done by Studio Pierrot, who are very well known.
Yeah, I think we've talked about them before. You will definitely, like, if you have like listened to this show for any period of time, you will probably have like seen a show that Studio Pierrot did. They have done Bleach, Naruto, Tokyo Ghoul, Yu Yu Hakusho, Black Clover, the infamous Ghost Stories, you know, not to mention Yurei Yatsura. They have done, if you've like watched anime for like basically any like period of time, you have likely seen a Studio Pierrot series, because these guys have been around since the 80s and are basically still like a workhorse of the genre, a workhorse of the medium.
Yeah, it's just like their list is like everything like good, like really good, really popular and obscure. It's just a list of a little bit of everything. Like they did Area 88, which is one of my favorite shows from the 80s, which is a, you know, jet fighter show. And you know, they help out on everything too. It's just, it is impossible to just cover how much they do. But what they try to do is at least like prestige or something that's you know, either like it's like they're like a movie studio in some ways. They either try to get something that's gonna be really popular, or, you know, really gets the Oscars. And I think this is kind of a prestige one, because Kaoru Mori's manga was award-winning, and it does get a lot of attention.
Understandably.
It has a very big cult following, if you want to call it that. I mean, it's just because the nature of the beast, because like you don't have like this kind of historical romance in England with anime and manga, because that's not what this audience is going to. A lot of people go to anime and manga to get away from this stuff. They want something different, or they want something that's, you know, in the anime zone. And this, it's very charming, it's very wonderful, but it does handle itself like one of these stories. And to describe it, it doesn't sell itself, because it sounds like every other romance story from the time. It's like romance between classes, you know, a maid and a person of the gentry class or the mercantile people, who, like at this time, the people with titles don't have super amounts of money like they used to, so they need to like arrange marriages with the gentry class, the merchants, who are making all the money. And
old money and new money, absolutely.
Old money, new money, absolutely. And
but this is the thing, Joe. As I said, this is far more, because like I obviously studied English literature. This is like straight out of stuff like, you know, Charlotte Bronte, and, you know, there's a little bit of a Dickensian element to it. It's like, this is like, you know, this is like the sort of thing that they would tend to have on. I can only sort of describe this as sort of autumn prestige drama sort of like stuff, because this is the sort of same sphere, sort of like, if this was live action, you would have no trouble selling this to sort of, you know, the Downton Abbey sort of crowd, I think.
It's sort of like Monster in that kind of way, because Monster is another fantastic series that people skip because it's just realistic, it takes place in Europe, and it feels like a live-action show. If it was on HBO or something like that, if it was a live-action series on HBO, people would be eating the shit out of Monster.
Oh,
but that's not
completely.
But the first DVD release went so badly that they didn't do any more DVD releases. So my 13-episode set of Monster is worth a lot of money. But back to Emma. It is all of this and more. I mean, it has a heart and it has a soul to it. So even when you describe it, it's so much more than that. And even and everybody who has placed their hands on it has taken the greatest of care with it. I mean, except season 2, but there is still love there, even though they had to go to essentially a Korean studio and get that because they blew all the money. There's a reason why Studio Kobayashi, who is an episode director, storyboarder, one of those people who works like in between all of the stuff and sometimes does episodes, but he only did another series that I haven't heard of, which is I had it right here.
12 Kingdoms, which is another Pierrot series.
Did he? He did direct 12 Kingdoms.
He did 12 Kingdoms. That was
12 Kingdoms is another great show.
Yep.
He also did Midori Days.
Yep.
Wait a minute. I must have been looking at the entirely wrong thing because he's done a whole lot.
Yeah.
Like sorry, Sunio, I did the wrong thing. Like he did a Glass Mask OVA, and all sorts of things. Like
Midori Days, and Kurokami, I see, and a Naruto movie, because when you work at Studio Pierrot, everyone gets a go at doing one of those.
Okay, so I must have clicked on the wrong name when I was looking at that.
Yes.
So yeah, he has done lots of stuff, and pardon me, I like.
It's fine. It's fine.
My headache.
Yeah. It's fine.
My headache is interrupting my work, and I apologize.
Yeah. The script of this memoir is written by Mamiko Iida, who has worked on seemingly everything. What I do notice is so she did both series. She wrote for both series of Emma, Sergeant Frog, which is a little bit of a difference. The gag.
Sergeant Kaoru. Kaoru means frog.
Yes.
Princess Tutu. There's that one.
Yeah, that's a good series. And Les Miserables Shoujo Koze, which is a manga and anime adaptation of Les Mis, and is kind of interesting. And yeah, it's one again, another journeywoman of basically they've been in the industry since the year dot, because they've literally been doing scripts and show running since 1993, and their most recent series was 2012, but they also have done like other stuff. So one of these busy people who sort of like keeps the anime industry going. Also Tamagotchi, which I was disturbed to actually see has an anime. Never mind. And the other sort of the main.
One of the things I want to point out is Kunihiko Ryo's music.
Yes.
Of which the most unusual thing that you will ever find out, Tokyo has a recorder orchestra.
Yep.
And they use the Tokyo Recorder Orchestra extensively on this series, most notably on the ending minuet for Emma. And it's gorgeous. I think... You said you didn't like it at first when you heard it.
It grew on me.
Yeah.
Kunihiko Ryo is otherwise known for doing the soundtrack for the 12 Kingdoms. The bizarrely
Probably
the soundtrack, the theme
go
for
ahead.
Jackie Chan's Fist of Fury, and the soundtrack for Tagami Bachi and Level E. God, Tagami Bachi is a
Yes.
series I haven't thought about in about a decade.
I would have to have my memory jogged on what that is, because there are a lot of series that just...
the letter B anime had really nice art.
Okay.
It's fine. It's a good
As
series.
this
I
one
can
does.
go. As this one does. Yes, it's a really nice manga. Anyway, so yeah, we will be doing episodes 1 to 12. This is glorious. I love this series.
Yes, and the setup is simplicity itself. There is Emma, who is a maid for a governess, or at least a retired governess, Kelly Stoner, and one of her students, William Jones, comes to visit her, and Kelly Stoner is kind of like, don't give too much credit to her students, because she is old and does not have a lot of her old students visiting her, and she kind of puts that on Mr. William, and so he meets up with the governess, and the first time Emma and Kelly meet, Emma and William Jones meet is when Emma accidentally opens the door on his face.
Yep.
And it's kind of one of those pratfall things that you don't expect to see in the series, and that's what makes it enjoyable. And also, there is this alley cat that in the neighborhood who will wander in and out of the series, and you just see he's about to fall down the stairs, and you just see the cat watch him fall all the way down. And it's just the choice edit of, yes, the cat is a character too, and will show up now and then.
Yeah.
But
Emma is voiced in Japanese, by the way, by Yumi Toma, who has again been here since the year dot. She has done so many voice acting roles. So many voice acting roles. She's Ivy in Soul Calibur. That should
okay.
sort of yep. And Rain in Tales of Symphonia. She's in Honkai Star Rail, but everyone's in Honkai Star Rail. She's just generally she's another one of these voice actresses who's been around since, again, the start of time itself. She's in She's oh, I know. She's also in Pokemon, because everyone is in Pokemon. I think she's anyway, loads of voice acting, and
this has an interesting situation with the English dub. It says there's an Animax dub. I've never seen it. And then Nozomi/Right Stuff, when they existed, did a Kickstarter for a genuine British dub, where they got as many actors who could at least passably do an English accent or were actually British. And so they got Eileen Montgomery as Emma and Ted Lewis as William Jones. And it's a lot of people who don't show up super a lot in anime. They do have some roles but they do not. They went for the authenticity instead of just getting the cast of people they're familiar with. It is the Nozomi's dubs are hit and miss. They also did something similar with Aria. I mean, not authentic British dub, but they did all of Aria, and I imagine on the cheap, because that was one of their first ones where they didn't get a whole lot of monetary support, but it's fine. Aria is also one of my top 20 favorite series, and it has a whole different vibe, and it would be really hard to duplicate Aria, because all of these people are friends who have known each other for years, and as they go out in Japan, this is, they have done this over years, and of note, one of the voice actresses and the singing voice for the same character, they both died within a year of each other, and one of the OVAs is about them going to the opera where they make their debut. And there is all of that within Aria that the show has, that, you know, a dub done quickly and on a budget, trying to get through about 50 episodes of anime can't replicate, and that's nobody's fault. It is fine. It is just, you know, you didn't get the time and you didn't have the money to get what they want. But this one, they got to do it absolutely right, and they absolutely do. It is a fantastic dub, and it is one of the credits to all of the people who, like, they had to work for years to get the pieces together, and it is very coherent. It is one of the prime examples of a really good dub they took their time to get right. And I put my damn name on it, so yes, absolutely.
Yeah. You kickstarted this. You supported this.
But if you look at the Kickstarter credits, it's the tiny one, so I don't get up there with, like, Justin Savakis and a lot of the really cool people. But my wife did find my name tiny in, like, the little one that's scrolling by. It was a lot bigger in the DVD Kickstarter, because the Kickstarter was more modest because it was subtitle only.
Yeah, so I mean, this is like, as I said, this is our premise. This is, you know, servant meets rich man from wealthy family. Yes, and we go from there.
Yes, and they are also two very sweet people. Emma is just a very introverted, very soft-spoken, doesn't talk a lot about herself, and for good reasons in the flashbacks. But and she has grown up in this servitude, and she is very grateful because what she had before was abusive and dangerous.
Yeah, which only really they get into at the end of the series, the end of the first season. Anyway.
And end of the season where it gets back to that, but and her governess boss, as it should be, has treated her extremely well and has taught her, like, everything from, like, how to read to, like, noticing that when she was a child she couldn't see very well, and she needs glasses, and that is part of the first couple episodes, where, like, William is this gentry class who has his head in the clouds. He doesn't really concern himself with his work that much. He buys a lot of pointless inventions, and then once he meets Emma, he starts going to that shop every day and buying a new toy just so he can wait for Emma to walk by and talk to her. That's kind of how
the pointless invention shop that's just there.
The pointless invention shop. Where they have an automatic tea maker and dispenser.
Yep.
And plane models that work and all of this stuff. And they are very cute together. And at first, when, you know, he buys her, what would you like? And I just want a handkerchief. And that's all she wants. And then later, when they go to the park to, like, look at nature, and it's just like she can't really see anything because, you know, as you get older, your eyes get worse. I know this very well. And he's like, I'll buy all of the new glasses, but the glasses are a stopping point for her because they are a special gift from her governess, and that it was a gift that is irreplaceable, that, you know, instead of throwing her out on the streets, she figured out the problem and fixed it. And that is one of the reasons she is forever grateful to Mrs. Stoner. So it's It,
Yeah, the character
when we
writing for
describe-
this is superb. Really, really good. It's like there's a lot.
Yeah, the writing
of,
is really good in ways that I can't tell you about because it is all within the characters and just how they look at things, and you can kind of see what's in their minds, and it's about the little cute asides on how they interact with each other, how they look at each other, and my wife kind of loves this show and can't watch it because, like, they're extremely adorable, but they are also, like, they're two of those people who it takes like half the series before, you know, it gets to a confession between them, and they just need to get together, and it's just like, just kiss or something, and which they get to, but they get to in proper British, everything in proper British time. Like, they have to schedule it.
Yeah, so I mean, the first sort of few episodes of this sort of very much flesh out like our main characters. Like this isn't like a slow series. There is like a reasonable amount going on in this, but it is very much, you know, that slow burn sort of social, you know, there's very much, you know, that sort of Victorian novel sort of sensibility where it's like, yes, I must, you know, I have tarried too long, I must away. It's like a lot of that. So yeah, I just wanted to go back very quickly. My God. William is voiced in Japanese by Tokoshi Kawashima, who is mostly famous for lot of small bit part sort of things, and dubbing James Van Der Burr in like everything he's ever been in for some reason. And in English he is played by Ted Lewis, who is actually probably like the most famous person from this, because he is in stuff I've actually seen.
He's the announcer in Pokemon.
Yeah, and Yu-Gi-Oh! He's Bakura's voice actor in Yu-Gi-Oh! Which took me like an annoyingly long amount of time to go, hang on a minute. But yeah, he's Giovanni in Pokemon.
And he's in Shadow Hearts too, which I don't know. Deep cut there. I know. Shadow Hearts is one of those great little PS2 games that nobody bought and is worth a ton of money. And I just have the third one, which feels like a joke. It's from the New World, which takes place in America during the 1920s, and it's this really goofy version of America.
Yeah.
But the other two are like dark gothic, like fantasy.
Yeah. I've been meaning to play Shadow Hearts at some point. It is one of those. It's one of those series where in the UK it sort of like turns up every so often in like our amusingly named secondhand video gaming retailer Sex. That's what it's called. Yeah. But yeah, these are like journey. There's like nobody like massively famous in this, which I think is good as, and it is a very English dub cast. I think pretty much everyone in this is actually English, or like putting on
a lot of them, or they can
English.
do a really good accent. So like I said, it's fantastic. Like, check it out. I put good money into this, enough to get the Kickstarter art book, which I am looking at right now. It's just because there is so much good detail here.
Oh yeah, it is one of those. I don't know if like it's because obviously this was made by what used to be Right Stuff. I don't know how easy this is to get hold of now.
I'm sure you can, because I'm sure they made a bunch of things. Let me double check here. I can double check the store while we're looking. Sorry to take up your time.
It's available in the UK. I'm just going to do the UK half because it's like, this is actually really like the collector's edition on UK Amazon is like 25 quid. You need to buy this series. This series needs love.
Okay. It looks like the manga is available, but it doesn't look like they have any more copies of the Blu-ray, unfortunately.
Yeah, but the UK anime industry is weird anyway, so yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I imagine it would be a little much better taken in Great Britain.
Yeah, fair. I mean, as I said, it's ironic. It's sort of like it is a very much selling tea to the British sort of series when it is like, no, this is actually like really, really. Can we talk like briefly about the level of like detail and research that goes into this? Because like,
go ahead.
There's moments in this like I'm just looking at like artwork that obviously for the manga, which again. Kaoru Mori's artwork is just fucking incredible. I'm like looking at this and going, I recognize like 2 or 3 of these places from like one of the illustration. But there's a particular sequence in one of the episodes where obviously so Covent Garden is like a major setting of like a lot of it, and then obviously there's other bits of the series which obviously are also set in like central London. But there's a bit later where obviously they have got a little bit better to know each other. And they're sort of obviously they have gone into like the grounds of one of the London parks, because by this point obviously London had a lot of parks. We're talking like late Victorian period, and it suddenly struck me I knew exactly where they were standing, which is by the Albert Memorial, and I know exactly what side of the Albert Memorial they were also standing on, because when it did obviously the shot reverse shot, there was no Albert Hall in the background, which means I knew they had to be on one specific side of one particular building. It's not even a building. It's a tall sort of like monument in London. I knew exactly like down to probably giving you like the 10-15 meter square they were probably standing in, where they were at. I mean, it's meticulously researched, this series, and like if you are a London, there's like so much of our artwork is like I'm looking at this and I know where exactly. Obviously, some of the like the images, and these are obviously the covers of the manga, which obviously are these beautiful wraparound bits of art. But I know exactly where she is standing, or roughly where she's standing. Obviously, in terms of the 19th century London, like it's that good. It's beautifully observed. I think they must have sent people, as I think they actually did with Steam Boy, ironically enough, to London to like do location work. And definitely, obviously, I know Kaoru Mori did obviously visits to London whilst writing and drawing this, to obviously as a research trip. So that is like part of why I think this series is so great.
Yeah, and it loves everything, and it loves everybody in this series. Like there are. You'll have a lot of like minor character favorites in series, because there's just this one character that an animator or whomever took great care of, even though they have like 5 lines of dialogue, and that's like every other character in this series. Because there are, as I looked through the research, there are different kinds of maids, and they have different kinds of uniforms, and they are all accurately portrayed. Like there's regular housemaids, and then there are the ones that handle the cooking, and then there are the ones that handle the cleaning, and just various things, all the way up to personal maids who are allowed a little bit of freedom to when they're out and about, to kind of wear what they want. I mean, in the household, they have to abide by their status, but they are given a little more freedom to be more individualistic if they are attached to a certain person in the household. Like Eleanor Campbell's, the romantic rival's personal maid, Annie.
Yep.
Who is like one of my secret favorite characters. And also there are like a couple maids in the Jones household who are like really cute, and they like make every detail count as far as it goes. Even at the point where later in the show, when it comes out these two people are seeing each other and the rumors go about, and there's just this kitchen discussion in the kitchen where, well, you know, I would like to get myself into a rich family too. And then there's just the head ones who worked all their way up to this, and it's just like, this is all nonsense. This is all ridiculous. It's going to ruin the family. And then there, you know, the more flighty ones, well, I don't know. I think it would be rather nice. And it's just like...
which is beautifully observed for that sort of thing as well. It's that same sort of like degree of, because I think with the British are fascinated with this sort of like, you know, the 19th century, and obviously we're fascinated as the success of Downton Abbey and things like it, you know, prove. You know, we are fascinated with this whole, you know, class system that we used to have and pretend we don't have anymore. Yes, even though you still have kings and, you know, you have titles and stuff like that. Yes. So most of it's being written by Lord Fellows, who just happens to be a member of the House of Lords. So, you know,
of course.
Yes, but no, as I said, because I think this is a series I'm gonna resist. We go through episode by episode, but the narrative, because obviously I don't want, like, this is one where, like Kino's Journey, where I don't want to spoil the journey, the experience. Like, this is a lesser known show. If we go through this, you know, episode by episode, but you know, there is this great narrative arc, and as I said, it is like something straight out of like of these big, you know, pot boiler 19th century novels of, like, you know, class and romance and all these other sort of, you know, elements. And it's like, you have, you know, the disapproving father, and you have, you know, the my favourite character is actually Stevens in this, who's obviously the butler. The butler is just like, he's got one of these sort of, like, you know, the classic British archetype of the long suffering butler. It's very good, you know, the sort of very good sir sort of type character, and it's like, and it's like, but you know, he's just like, he's doing his best.
He has layers to him.
Indeed,
he's a little more than the character in Remains of the Day, played by Anthony Hopkins, but obviously not in the novel by Kazuo Ishiguro, who is extremely traditionalist to the point where, like, his emotions are outside his duty, so he involuntarily cries because his father died, and he's still working. And that's just how the way it works, and it's just like, that's just the kind of way the servant life, that was his life. This is what he does. This is his living. And he never quite escapes that. But Stevens has a few, like, you know, everybody in the household is his master. I mean, obviously, Master Jones, William Jones's father, is the most important, but he does find a little leeway for other people, and he does find at least courtesy, like, unlike a lot of people do. There is a scene where, like, Emma comes to the household because of circumstances, spoilers, and a lot of them are outright shitty to her, including William Jones's family, and especially Vivi, who is a child and who, like, wants to be an adult but does not understand, like, subtle adult things. So she just bursts in and, like, this is wrong, you are wrong, you seduced my brother. But and then her older sister and older brother have to come in and like, okay, they drag her out, and then, like, one of the older brothers just, like, quietly closes the door. And it's just like, I agree with this, but this was not the best way to put it, is, like, what I get from the expression.
Oh, no, completely, yeah. I mean, even Eleanor, who is this rival for, like, you know, William's hand, is, like, this really interesting, you know, character who's, like, you know, and obviously, you know, the obviously the later into the manga and obviously later into the second series, you know, there is this sense of, you know, this the fate of, obviously, as I think we said a little bit earlier, the fate of a lot of these landed sort of classes is that basically they're drowning in their own debt and they can't afford, they have all this, they have all this hereditary power, but they have no money to sort of. But it's like, oh, but now you have to marry him because obviously they have money. They may not have the thing, and obviously the as I said, it's not something that comes in, it's something that obviously comes into works like that, but it's usually from the other side. It's like, oh, we got all these, land, and we'll just have to make do and economize, I suppose. It's like, but she's as I said, she is really well written, and she's interesting, and her relationship with William is interesting.
And she's not like she's not treated like a villain. It's no. She is just stuck in circumstances. She is very sweet. I mean, she's a little young and naive. Like, this is her first like romance and falling in love, and she has to go process like the difficult emotions of realizing, oh, he is not interested in me, but I do love him and I will like fight for him. And she doesn't fight because obviously she's a lady, and and in Victorian times, even they were playing sports in full dress. Just dresses that breathe a little better, like when they play tennis in like these like full dresses because she's a lady. And
again, historically accurate.
It is historically accurate, absolutely. But she is also very sweet. She is very thoughtful, but she is also young and like driven by her emotions. So she will often get sour. She will often get, just moody because everything didn't go how she thought it would be, and she feels like she's on the outside looking in at William Jones, and there's just not a lot of and she's trying to figure it out, and she's trying to find a way in because she does like him, and he is good to her to a fault, I would say, because he has to keep up like proper British pleasantries and all of that, and nobody has it feels like nobody has treated her with that kind of, not exactly care, but there is a separate gentle, like her parents, like her mother is kind of just let things be where, and her father is very much classist and really hates that she has, I mean, I wouldn't say like prostitute out his daughter, but he would say that if he could say that, because we only get, I think, 1 or 2 scenes with the father, and you for most of the part you're going like Eleanor Campbell, where they're making her widely available and they're friendly and you think it's nice, and then the father is just utterly disdainful that he has to reach to the gentry class just to get this money, and he sees William Jones as much as a commoner as anybody else, as Emma, and there is that dynamic going through it, but all of these characters are well written, they interact well with each other, and it's especially interesting considering a lot of them are like proper British. They're not like super chatty, and some of them, especially Emma, are introverted and don't really speak for themselves or act for themselves, but her governess, like Kelly Stoner, knows when Emma is asking for something, it is a lot of effort to do this, because she is like forever grateful and will do her duty to the very end, and that she asks for something means it is important to Emma, and that relationship is wonderful too.
Yeah, absolutely. The other character I really love is Hakeem. Hakeem is like, in another series, I think Hakeem would be, the comic, to draw very sharp comparison to Black Butler. Obviously, Black Butler's like Indian character is like, the not very much north of a stereotype, and it's like, I guess, yes, all the and Hakeem is just great, because he's just like, I'm just hanging around to see what happens here. This is interesting to me. I
am a visitor. I can do whatever I want because I am an Indian prince, and anything I do will just be like, oh, he's from India and he's a prince.
Yes.
He just does that. And nobody minds him except like William Jones's brother and sisters, who are just like, he's putting weird thoughts in my brother's head. It's all his fault. But Vivi, everything is everybody else's fault for this. And Vivi is a firecracker. And one of the secret favorite characters, because even though she's kind of mean about it, she is still understandably a child and wants to be treated like an adult.
Yeah,
and
which is always
that
the
is
interesting
the thrust of her
dynamic,
character, but she does it in such an individual fashion. But Hakeem is also... It's very weird, because Hakeem, like, when he sees William and Emma... Well, first when he sees Emma, he proposes to Emma, because like, Hakeem like sees like there is just like this inner glow within this woman, and like he's a prince, so he takes whatever he has, like his servants / wives. It says servants in the notebook or in the art book.
It says harem here, which is like.
Yeah, I wish they developed the servant characters, because it's just a group of women and they're silent the entire time. They're kind of scenery. I mean, they have funny scenes, and you get to see they are people from time to time, but they are servants to Hakeem, and I really wish I don't know if Kaoru Mori like didn't feel she was up to handling that. Yeah. And just didn't. It's just one of those weird things for a series that thinks about everything, and these characters are just silent and they're just servants, and especially ones where it deals with the lower class, and a lot of the lower class people have character. Certainly they have character. So like I don't know, it's just one loose bit that you can make issue with it. It's a really small issue in the scheme of things to make out of this series, which is mostly just like spot on and incredible.
Yeah,
it is there, and I'm not going to say it isn't there because the things I like are flawless.
Yeah. Oh no, completely. As I said, I think certainly, obviously, this is a very well done romance series. However, it is like I feel one has to be, occasionally objective and go, it is a romance series, and a lot of it is based around a period accurate but still somewhat occasionally frustrating sort of sensibility of when are you going to kiss, please? It's not so much slow burn as it is like glacially, like
even for 12 episodes.
Even for 12 episodes,
it gets lost in British properness. Like there's a proper time and there's a proper place, and these two characters are like, I don't want to say total nerds, but they are like, they keep to themselves, and they don't express, like, William is a little more because he's gentry and he has money, and he just like, he's one of those people, like, he's like a puppy. What can I do? Hello, how can I help you? Sometimes when he's with Emma, and it takes him a while to understand, like, how Emma, like, works a little bit. But he does love Emma for being Emma, even when they first meet. He is clearly, like, taken with her physical appearance. Like, not that they kiss, but, she doesn't speak a whole lot. She doesn't do a whole lot. She just gets the tea, and she says, yes, ma'am, and all of that. But clearly their attraction is more unspoken, and then it gets a little more spoken once they understand each other, and once he understands and matures a little bit to understand her, but it takes a lot of one person's out and the other went to visit them too before they get to that.
Yeah, there is a charming sort of, there is a charm to their sort of slowly developing, really sort of, you know, cutely faltering sort of relationship. But like, I can appreciate for certain, you know, if slow burn romance is not your thing, then your mileage may vary on this. You know, it's going to be, particularly as there's an entire second season of more of this. You know,
yes.
it's like,
and you meet more awesome characters though. That's the thing. Like
Green is there.
I think you would love Hans. You will love Hans, even though he is made to be the romantic rival for William Jones. Like he is like a butler or footman or something to that effect, and he is just fucking awesome.
And he's voiced by Dan Green.
I don't know that name, but
that's you should do.
Okay, I should. I absolutely should, and I apologize. This should be my expertise, and I am failing because I have a headache, and I had my birthday last night, and it's It's. But
we're gonna talk. We thought as a late birthday present, we're talking about Joe's favorite anime, one of Joe's favorite.
Well,
animes.
it's not the favorite, but it is definitely one of my favorite, and one I absolutely treasure. Clearly, I put my name on it twice. So, but. And then you get to meet Aurelia Jones, like William Jones's mother, who is the Victorian version of having cool aunt energy. Like she is amazing. There is a reason. Like even though they don't talk about her a lot, she definitely had like 5 kids with this guy, and he does love her in a certain way, but. You know,
we're gonna have to come back and do the second season of this. So.
And to talk about that, and also like the second season, there's like random nudity out of fucking nowhere. It is just like bizarre, wow, just okay. I mean, I know you're being accurate, but wow, you just threw that right into the series, guys.
Okay, well, okay.
We're keeping this classy.
Yes. But no, as I said, I as I said, and this is obviously, again, remember, I'm a Brit. This is like, you know, having an anime like about, you know, there's an anime set in London, basically, in which normal London things at the period appropriate happen. It's like this is like the sort of stuff that I can imagine, you know, again, if it's live action, you know, the average, you know, sort of people of about my mother's age would probably absolutely eat up. Like, this would be, you know, 9 p.m. BBC One drama sort of stuff. And, like, this is just really good. Like, really, really, really good. Like, I would say, I would definitely say if you have, like, any interest in you know, more. I hesitate to call this slice of life because it's not slice of life. It's
historical.
Very much.
It's a period piece, and it is classic romance. It is not like we have to throw all of these extra things in, like anime tends to do. We have to make it wacky, or we have to have a harem or something like that. This is a very classically done romance show, done extremely well. And I mean, as a person who's read Jane Eyre, and it was for class,
did it. I studied it as well.
I wasn't the biggest fan of it, and it's just like too much. There's just too much writing that's just there, and it's very slow, and it's not very much in the it doesn't very much get into the characters' heads. It's just like, here's the place, and there they do this, and I mean, it's a little too plotting for my sake, but I love this show. I absolutely love it. And by the way, it is not based on Jane Austen's Emma.
Nope.
I probably should have put that up front. This is an entirely separate thing. Just happens to use the same name.
Exactly. No. I mean, knowing Japan, there's probably at least one anime Austen adaptation. But yeah, this is entirely its separate thing. And you know, if you have like any interest in like historical romance, this is perfect. Watch this series, please.
Yeah. Like, anime has an adaptation of Anne of Green Gables, which is the Canadian
Yes.
big thing of literature.
Yes.
Big period piece of...
Completely.
So
That's another
yeah,
one
I
that's-
imagine they would.
Yeah, why not? Because that's that sort of thing. I mean, as a and it's nice that we have like this is the thing. This is the beautiful thing about anime is anime has got like something for everyone. Not everybody is gonna want to watch 200 episodes of like shonen fighting stuff and like this is the beautiful thing about stuff like Emma.
Yes.
Because it's like this is like
and
this
another
is, like-
series we like, 91 Days. Like it is a way to get our culture like bent through another culture. And I think that's why like things like Cowboy Bebop were huge, but like the Cowboy Bebop was different enough. This is like very much what you would get in Great Britain, but filtered through the Japanese. So
no, completely.
One of those things do tend to be less popular, but I do enjoy them, and I do enjoy like anime as a method to do these things, because like animation, you can do a lot of things with animation you don't you can't necessarily do even with something like this, because they're just like there are just so many scenes where they are alone with their thoughts, and the series properly conveys it without like beating you dead with it. What they're thinking and how they're thinking, and it is so good with this. And I can see an actor doing this, but I don't see like this kind of television budget like doing this. You have to like get an Oscar nominated or not Oscar winning actor to just kind of do all of this little things, because like that anime does like in an instant without thinking, and you already know this and you already see this, and many times it's blatant in anime because they are screaming their thoughts at you, or they're monologuing exactly what they're thinking. But then you get things like this where it's all like so simple and it's all easily followed, and not because it's a simple story, even though it is, but it's just because the animation lets you get to know these characters through things beyond what they say and what they do. And that goes with how much care was taken into this at every level, and like and how beloved it is that every person who has taken to this series or been given a caretaker, except I suppose the people who did the other dub besides the proper British dub, because they're like people with 3 or 4 roles on per. but
the dub that nobody has ever seen is hide nor hair of and may not actually exist, because
I don't know.
Yeah, I went hunting for this thing and I couldn't find it. It's like
yes.
Yes.
But
it's like, where is this mysterious anime?
Everything has incredible detail. Everything is extremely well done, from the characters to the setting to the whatever else you have. It's funny. We don't describe it as funny, but there are a lot of funny things that happen in it, and some of them are just basic, like the pratfall at the beginning, which you don't really expect because it's a proper show. It shouldn't be doing something that falls to the peanut crowd or whatever British term you have for it, but
that man just fell down the stairs.
They just fell down the stairs, and this is like every stupid rom-com situation, but we're putting this here so it's funny, and we put a cat that watches him fall instead of watching him fall. So
Akeem's got an elephant, folks. It's like that sort of thing. It's like
he's got that kind of, and they're driving a car through a house, and then they're disappointed because the car stops, and it's like, oh, it just needs petrol. It's like, what's petrol?
Yeah, it's 1885. This is a little bit early, but that's the thing. It's like there is the energy of this is fantastic. It's like it's just like there, it's one of those series like we overuse this perhaps. I think where it's it is a thing made with love. For it, both the obviously the original and Japanese obviously production, and then obviously the dub of it as well. It's just a thing made with love.
Yeah, and it's just every little detail down to they explain how Emma does her hair. She has kind of like an up braid, and if you look in the art book, there are steps to like this is she braids this first, she braids this second, all of this. And you see it in the show when she undoes her hair at night, and then she looks at herself. And there are, that's just one little detail. And there are so many little things I caught this time too, even though, like, I probably should have caught them the first time. But later with Kelly Stoner, when, like, Emma's taking, like, a day off to go see William Jones at the Crystal Palace, and then she comes back and has a talk. Like, there's a cut where it's from Kelly Stoner's point of view, and she sees the little girl with two braids, and then it cuts back to her close-up, and then it's just like, then it cuts back to Emma as she is, like, right now, and it's one of those unspoken things where it's like, oh my God, time has passed so much, and she's grown up so much now. And it's just one of those beautiful little things they put in this show that you can't convene by talking about the plot. You can't, you can say the performances are great, but it's nothing that's going to sell you by, I'm going to show you a scene. Although, like Hans, I'll send you a GIF later that I need to make of the second season, and it'll introduce you to Hans, and it's like, yes, you're on board with this. But beyond Hans, like, everything is understated but elegant, and like, and that's just how the series goes, and it is absolutely wonderful. I love it. I own the manga. I kickstarted it twice, and I'm looking at the omnibuses right now, and it's just like, should I get those too? Because I got the original CMX releases, which were rather pulpy paper, which was how Emma originally was published. It was published like it was an 19th century publication, and it had that really pulpy, like, wood paper where you could tell this used to be a tree. And CMX did that, but they did that because CMX, if you didn't know, was DC Comics manga branch that failed hard. It doesn't exist anymore because they made certain decisions, like they took an ecchi manga and they edited out all the ecchi from it.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. That'll absolutely fucking do it. But they got Emma, and theirs was, they were running out of money, so it was cheap. And I got yelled at by Bamboo Dong of Anime News Network in one of the comment sections because she mentioned how cheap the stuff was, and I said that this was how it was originally published in Japan. It's just like, well, how do you excuse this CMX? And how do you excuse this CMX release? And I'm just like, okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't putting CMX out of the equation that they are cheap and dumb. I was just saying that this was an odd example because of how it was done in Japan. This is actually accurate. And so, Bamboo Dong, I apologize. I did not mean it in that way. So
yeah, but have you considered that this cost-cutting measure may be an aesthetically pleasing cost-cutting measure?
Yes,
and so on. Yes, but no,
this was the only way you were seeing Emma at a certain point because it had to become one of these things that people put on a shelf and they show off, and they will tell everybody about, like I'm telling you about now, before people like really got into it. Like they had the DVDs with subtitle only had to be out for years, and the show was on Crunchyroll for years before they tried this, so it had an audience that they could get money from to kickstart it.
Yes. Meanwhile, in Japan, they had official maid outfits that went for many yen. Many yen.
And on the Kickstarter, you could have gotten like a tailored maid outfit if you got high enough. I did not get high enough on that. I will not have my maid outfit. I apologize.
That's unfortunate, Joe. Anyway, but this has been a fun series. Like, just finish this video. Go watch.
I know I have done a poor job of like getting into the nitty gritty details on everything, and I apologize because of my headache and like my mind is not getting like specific thoughts out as much as they should today.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we are on a schedule, and we must keep going.
Yep. Tell you what, if this gets like, I don't know, let's say let's say if this gets like 300, 400 views, we'll come back and do a second season. We'll talk a little bit more about this series. I think it's like, that sounds like a deal. That sounds like a deal, everyone. Yep, good.
Sure.
Yeah,
and always, we have a Patreon. Patreon.com/The Thom and Joe Show. Tom spelled with an H or an H in your manner.
H, absolutely. If you do want us to like talk about, I mean, frankly, we would happily talk about the other Kaoru Mori series if you know you wanted us to do. We can talk about manga. We are, we can, it will be a very. It'll be a new thing. Well, it won't be a new thing for like both of us because we have done episodes where we've talked like non-Thom and Joe related activities where we have talked about manga. But it has been a while for both of us. We could talk about manga if you want. If you want to throw us some money, we go, yeah. Can you review us like the first 2 volumes of Bride Story? We'll go, yep. That sounds like fun. We have no problem at all talking about Kaoru Mori's bibliography. Yep.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so we will, and I think our next anniversary episode is not for several months because we decided to bunch them all in October and November for some reason. But
2 have two I bought on the same day, so like if I had to do one, I had to do the other, and they're 2 extremely opposite ends of the pole.
Yep.
So, yeah.
They're going to be 2 interesting records. Yeah.
So I think, is it Kid A that's coming up first, or is
it... let me double check the spreadsheet. One moment.
Yes. Okay. You're organized. I absolutely am not. I have to be organized in another thing. I'm writing a visual novel, and I have to communicate to my artists. So that's where my organization is going.
So we have obviously Emma, which you're listening to now. Hello, it's the 18th of June. This is now 20 years since this aired. Yes, 20 years since this aired.
Yes.
Which is the last episode came out on this day 20 years ago. Then we have a huge gap of most of the year, and then we have Radiohead's Kid A. We have What's the Story? Morning Glory. This is on the same day. We have no idea how we're gonna do this.
Pad things out. I mean, we have the whole summer to do it, and anytime anybody wants to talk about What's the Story? Morning Glory, I can do it, and Kid A to a certain extent too. Although it's me mostly listening to How to Disappear Completely like 10 times and then just like fading into sleep.
Then we have what could be a bumper episode. We might get Rachel for this, which is Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness by the Smashing Pumpkins, which should be interesting. Then we have Fatboy Slim's Between the Gutter and the Stars to finish us out for music, but ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to announce that we will be covering, if I can find the Wikipedia page, we will be covering on the 15th of December of this year the 40th anniversary of a thing that has been lost and like refound, and now, thank God, is back in the world of like being able to see this, which is Mamoru Oshii and Yoshitaka Amano's Angel's Egg. To finish out the year. Which is going to be a thing that is now going to get, you know, proper. It's been, obviously, it's time of recording. It was shown in Cannes about a week ago, so we're back. We're back. It is licensed.
I did actually have a ticket for it at one point, but they canceled it because the Alamo Drafthouse got it from somebody they thought had the license, but absolutely did not have the license.
Yeah,
so they refunded that. So that's that one's journey, for which we'll get into when we get to it.
This is going to be a hell of an episode because there is so much to talk about. This strange like chunk of pre-fame work for like two colossal figures in modern Japanese popular culture. Anyway, that is our schedule for the year. No doubt something will change if Billy Corgan opens his mouth again, but for now, that is the
and we have numbered episodes. I believe the next one is Hana Yamada, which is my anime pick, which is
another beautiful
the best series you'll ever buy for like $2, even though that it is sold out now, so it is gone. I am sorry. I have tried. I've done what I can to get it for like $2 to $4, and the people who bought it did absolutely bought it. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, sorry, I tried. I did my best, but
we did our best, and now the anime is, you know, happily owned by many people. We did our job here. Anyway, we will be back with presumably a numbered episode first, because I don't think we'll be back with another numbered episode, Thom and Joe episode fairly shortly, which will be Hana Yamada, and then Joe's musical choice, which is How to Operate with a Blown Mind by Stereomagnetic MCs? No, yes?
No. The Low Fidelity All Stars.
Yes, but that's easy to get those two mixed up.
Okay.
Yes. Anyway, we will see you on the next Thom and Joe episode. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I do hope you'll call again.
Yes, we will. Please do come back.